The Kingdom Hearts series has built itself a reputation for all sorts of different reasons, from the combination of Disney and Final Fantasy, the themes of the power of friendship, and hilariously proportioned shoes, which is only outdone by the number of belts and buckles that are seen across the character design. But today we're here to talk about an element of the series that is near and dear to my heart, the soundtrack. There's a lot of beautiful music scattered across the series with all sorts of variety, including chill vibes, epic battle themes, and emotional tearjerkers. And in order to prepare for the giant Kingdom Hearts 1 retrospective that I'm currently working on, I thought it'd be a good idea to take a look at some of my favorite tracks from the game that started it all. I'm gonna try to diversify things by picking songs with all different kinds of vibes, so I'm not just talking about battle themes over and over again, because let's be serious, I got a little bit of a bias towards battle themes, just don't judge me. And without further ado, let's get started, and feel free to let me know some of your favorite tracks in Kingdom Hearts 1. And as a quick disclaimer, I'm going to be giving an honorable mention to Simple and Clean / Hikari, depending whatever your persuasion is, because let's face it, it's a banger regardless of which version you're listening to, whether it be the original, the Planet B remix, or the orchestral version, but it is also a copyright nightmare, and I don't really want to deal with that. I guess you could say I'd like to keep this channel simple and clean from any copyright strikes. With that out of the way, let's get started. And what better way to start than the song that sees us off before the start of our journey? We're of course talking about Dearly Beloved, the song that plays during the title screen of Kingdom Hearts. When we boot up the game, we're greeted with this soothing piano melody accompanied by the sounds of the beach. It's nothing particularly complicated, but the vibes are immaculate regardless. It's simple and lighthearted with a melancholy vibe looming in the background. Not only is it a chill vibe, but it also gives us a sense of rest before we start off on our new adventure. And it's tonally appropriate too, because we are in for an emotional hell of a ride. And if you want to look further into this series, there are countless versions of this song now, each holding differences that keep them special and unique from the others. But of course we wouldn't have any of that without this version where it all began. There is truly no more appropriate title than Dearly Beloved for a song that has etched its way into my heart. Speaking of hearts, we're going to be diving deep into one as we explore this incredibly mysterious track. This is one of the first tracks you'll hear in the game that plays as you enter the Station of Awakening. Considering the vibe of this place that's just a giant void only illuminated by these stained glass platforms, I think the track that accompanies this area is appropriately haunting. The choir leaves a bit of a sense of unease, like you're in this mystical place where anything could happen, and those low, deep piano notes adding a sense of tension on top of it all. There's also a lot of empty space in this song, which I think is perfectly appropriate for the void that we find ourselves in. It's a completely different vibe from Dearly Beloved, but it does the same great job of establishing the tone of what's happening here. You won't have to dive too deep to see why this song lives rent-free in my heart. It's time to switch gears from the melancholy vibes to something a little bit more bright and bouncy. Bustin' Up on the Beach is the track that plays when you get into these sparring matches with any of your friends on Destiny Islands. It's appropriately lighthearted and, for lack of better words, it's just fun. It's accompanied by some light strings with piano and electric guitar carrying the melody, and it comes together quite nicely, I think. And let's not forget about the middle section that's carried by the flutes fluttering about. It's got a more upbeat tempo, and for me personally, it just kind of screams tutorial battle. It's nothing serious, just some light competition between friends. And this song does a great job of capturing that feeling. It's the kind of song that makes me want to jump up and swing a toy sword around. And let's not forget the fact that all these battles take place on a tropical island setting, and I think it fits for that as well. Call me a beach if you want, but I think this song is busted. Now we're switching from one battle theme to another, and the vibes are entirely different. While the last track was more on the bright and bouncy side, Scherzo de Notte has a much grittier and more serious tone to it, which is pretty appropriate considering we've reached the end game now, as this is the battle theme for Hollow Bastion, one of the last worlds in Kingdom Hearts 1. I feel a sense of mystery and intrigue when I hear this track, which I think is appropriate considering the gigantic castle that this piece plays in, mixed with a hint of dread in the background waiting to show its ugly face. It's got that low percussion for those booming undertones, while the melody is carried by those hard-hitting piano strikes, which I think is appropriate considering we'll be having countless battles with the Heartless here, and the pianist is appropriately attacking the music with that same ferocity. It's perfectly fitting that this song has a sense of epicness to it, as the stakes in our story have skyrocketed accordingly. It's funny that Scherzo de Notte translates to joke at night, which this song is not really, I guess, appropriately titled. It's supposed to take less of a literal definition and more of like a dance at night, because, I mean, let's be serious, we'll be dancing with a lot of Heartless in this place. This is one of the first songs that comes to mind when I think about Kingdom Hearts, because this track is truly of note. Ooh, yeah, that's not super great. But you know what would be great? Is if you hit that subscribe button and rang the bell for notifications, and you could learn top tier comedy from yours truly. Actually, you should probably not do that. Now we're moving from one of the last worlds in the game to one of the first. The theme that plays in Traverse Town, called Traverse Town, great name by the way, don't know how you thought of it. And for me personally, this track makes me feel like I'm at home. It gives off really cozy vibes with its melody carried by a singular woodwind instrument. I can't really tell what it is, I think it's a clarinet. It has a more moderate tempo, which helps the track feel more chill, and it really does scream that city at night vibe. The homely vibes do make a lot of sense when you think about the fact that Traverse Town is effectively the hub world of this game, constantly having to return to it between story beats, or having to synthesize things, or checking out the accessory and item shop. I think it makes sense that the track that plays here feels comfortable and familiar. I don't really have too much more to say about this song. I mean, it's largely carried by the vibes that it gives off, which are immaculate by the way. And luckily I don't have to traverse too far to find this song that sounds like home. Now the last track gave me a lot of comfy vibes, but this one's going to take us in the complete opposite direction. It's a song that makes me feel like I need an adult and I'm 31 years old. Forse del Male is a track that plays during some of the endgame boss fights, and for those of you that played Kingdom Hearts 1 on the original PS2 and had no way of skipping the cutscenes, I'm sure that this is a song that's incredibly difficult to forget. This song plays during the Ansem fight, and more famously, the final Dark Riku fight in Hollow Bastion. And I'm sure I'm not alone in this, but this fight as a kid gave me so much trouble. But at least we got some good music from it, because man, this song is a banger. The organ gives off this eerie feeling of finality as we take on one of the hardest fights in the game. It starts off with a slower tempo with malice oozing from those notes, but then the tempo starts to pick up and the snare drums start firing away. I also appreciate the woodwind accompaniment that flutters in the background. As the music ramps up, it gives off an incredibly intimidating feeling, which I think is appropriate for all the boss fights that it plays during. Forse del Male translates to Forces of Evil, which honestly, you didn't even have to really tell me. The music speaks for itself. This is truly a boss theme of epic proportions, and you don't gotta force me to believe it. Okay, we've had enough evil blasting in my face. It's time for something a little bit more sweet and emotional. Always on my mind is the track that plays near the end of the game as the worlds are starting to get restored to normal. Sora and Riku close the door to Kingdom Hearts, finishing off with a nice little reunion between Sora and Kairi before they have to separate. The main composition is largely carried by the piano, but you can just hear that music box accompaniment that adds that little bit of a twinkle to the sound. It's a beautiful track filled with a sense of hope, as well as a side of somberness as well, which is perfectly fitting for the bittersweet ending that we get here at Kingdom Hearts 1. Yes, we've restored the worlds, yes, things are getting back to normal, but at what cost? At the end of the day, we're separated from our friends that we spent the entire game looking for. But no matter the distance, no matter the perils, there will always be on each other's minds. And I think this track does a good job of setting the tone of reminiscing over sweet memories with beloved friends. It's not an overly complicated piece, but the instrumentation really brings that melancholy vibe home. It may not be one of the first tracks that comes to mind when people think about Kingdom Hearts, but for me personally, this song gives me a feeling that I'll always carry. Now this one might be more of a controversial pick, but I want to highlight the Gummy Ship themes. Officially called Blast Away, this theme plays during all the Gummy Ship sections that honestly get way too much flack. Now this might be considered cheating because they are technically 3 different tracks, but I really wanted to highlight the progression of these pieces. The first version we hear is bouncy and lighthearted with a bit of a slower tempo that fits the pace of the Gummy Ship that we're going to be flying at first. The melody and instrumentation really give off this feeling of triumphant voyage that we're going on. The second variation is a lot more fast-paced and riddled with a little bit more tension. At this point in the story, we're no longer getting to grips with this Gummy Ship. We've been flying it around. We're almost an expert. Maybe that's a little bit too much. And if you actually do go into that Gummy Ship garage and upgrade your ship, hopefully the speed of the music will more appropriately match the speed of your Gummy Ship. And then we get to the final variation, which does slow down the tempo, but it does give us that vibe of we are reaching the end game now. We are no longer on a happy little space voyage. We are now flying to what is potentially our own deaths, because now we're approaching the end of our adventure and the stakes have never been higher. I really do love the sense of progression here because it does accurately portray the tone of the mission that we're on, and it does change as we progress through the story. The tracks also appropriately portray the kind of perils that we're facing on these Gummy Ship missions, because as the tracks get more serious, we have more Heartless to deal with. I really do love this environmental storytelling through music, and it's enough to blast me away. Howdy, howdy, Future Me Chang here, and I know what you're thinking. But Me Chang, isn't Dive Into the Heart just part of this study? Isn't it cheating to put it in twice? Or maybe I don't care. Perhaps the song is just so good it had to be on the list twice. Or maybe I wasn't paying enough attention when I recorded this. We'll simply never know. Except we do, because I definitely don't make any mistakes. Ever. Now without further ado, let's get back to the video. Future Me Chang, out. Now as we wind down towards the end of our musical journey, I think it's appropriate to dip back down into our roots. We've already talked about Dive Into the Heart, which plays during the Station of Awakening sequence in the intro, but now it's time to evolve into its full realization to Stadi. This track takes the best parts of Dive Into the Heart and Fragments of Sorrow, which is the boss theme that plays during the Station of Awakening sequence. But man, do they really come together when it's fully realized. The Stadi translates to Awakening, which is pretty fitting considering where this track plays. And adding the chanting choir really adds that epic value to this song. It combines that foreboding feeling with a rushing sense of dread for what's yet to come. The added complexity really gives us a strong contrast between the beginning and end of our journey. We get fed small pieces in the introduction, but we don't see it all come to its full fruition until the climax, which is appropriately fitting for not only the music, but also the story of Kingdom Hearts as a whole. This piece for sure earns its place as one of my favorites within the game. It truly is a great track that encompasses our journey throughout Kingdom Hearts 1, bringing the full picture into light. And last but not least, we're ending with a track that is near and dear to my heart. Hand in Hand is the battle theme that plays in Traverse Town, and as a track that plays in one of the first worlds you visit, it really does a great job of giving that sense of adventure. I'm just an optimistic young newbie ready to set out on some sort of adventure, with so much of the world left to explore. It's triumphant while staying lighthearted, largely thanks to the horns that are blaring that melody out. While not quite to the same extent as the regular Traverse Town theme, this song still gives me a feeling of familiarity, and this piece does a good job of making me feel like there's still so much left in the world to do. Because no matter how many times we come and go, no matter how much growth we experienced in our adventure, there's still many stones left unturned. It's that optimistic sense of wonder that really leaves a warm, fuzzy feeling in my hands. And that's the end of our musical journey adventure thing. Do you agree or disagree with my takes? Let me know in the comment section below if you feel like there's any tracks that I missed. Because believe me, I know that there are plenty of songs that I couldn't cover in this video because I'm only talking about 10 songs here. And Lord knows that there are more than 10 musical masterpieces that are placed within this game. Considering how long it's going to take me to make this retrospective, I might make another one of these videos, so let me know if that's something you'd like to see in the comment section down below. Also remember to hit that thumbs up button if you liked the video and share the video with the world, and if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe for all sorts of different content, and I'll make sure that you stay entertained. So until the next video, I've been Me Chang, and I'll see you.